Board of Aldermen work session of February the 10th shall come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Present.
Ballard.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Sagasser.
Here.
Raines.
Here.
Neal.
Present.
Wilson.
Present.
With 7 present, we have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm entertaining a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We've adopted the agenda. We've gone to item number 1, which is a consideration of the appointment of Shane Sawyer to serve as Alderman 1. And so I am offering Mr. Sawyer as a replacement for the vacancy in the Alderman position in Ward 1.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question if I can.
Go ahead, please, sir.
I had a couple questions asked from me this last week and about the appointment of somebody so close to the election. The example used was we've had previous alderman vacancies that were not filled by the election. And so again, I understand, he's running unopposed, no problem with it. Just kind of some clarification why we are filling it so close to the election and not letting the people have that voted.
Well, the election, of course, is decided, and that it was just felt that it would be beneficial to the board and beneficial to Mr. Sawyer to be a full participant, since it would be. I personally don't see the controversy. It seems only reasonable to go ahead and have him start serving when, and of course, on one hand, the mayor has the power of appointment, and I am not to be waggy or anything, but I feel that it is appropriate to go ahead with the appointment, and that, but of course, it is the pleasure of the board to agree or disagree.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead,
If I
please.
can speak on this. Brian, one of the answers to that question is that we have not had vacancies the way they're thinking of. We had seats that were filled with members not joining the meeting. This is, I don't know, has this actually happened before where we had a alderman resign and leave a seat vacant?
What time of year was it when Thane resigned?
So Thane resigned.
Yeah.
I don't remember if someone was appointed or if we just waited until
I
the
don't
next
believe
election.
anyone was.
Also, Ethel May, I believe, was kind of...
Never
She
resigned.
didn't resign.
Okay.
No, she was not able to be at the meetings,
Sure,
but
just
I don't
didn't
believe
choose
that
it.
her
No.
seat was not vacant.
That being said, I think it's up in the air. We can't. It really doesn't matter at this date whether we allow the mayor's appointment. I don't see a need for it, but I'm not opposed to it.
And again, these are just questions that are
and-
being asked to me that, I feel like if they're being asked to me, I think it needs to be discussed. It's our
Certainly.
job
Absolutely.
to relay the information from our constituents to
Sure.
this board so that the board can make the right decision. Again, I'm not saying it's a wrong decision
Right.
or right decision. I'm just saying these are the questions that are being asked that I feel
Right.
are important.
Absolutely, and I understand that it is Mr. Mayor, your right to put forward a name to fill
Yes,
this seat,
but
but
it
once again, it is at
is
the
the decision of the
pleasure
board,
and
obviously.
discretion of the board.
Of course.
So, my take on it is the seat was open. If it was before filing for a candidacy or there was 2 or more people that were running for the vacancy.
Oh, obviously, we would not do that.
I would have it because appointing somebody to that position could look as, hey, the city's favoring so-and-so over so-and-so. the filing was open. Anybody in Ward 1 could have filed. We had one person who put their name out there that said, I want to be, part. So what I heard for some people was, oh, is there, we didn't have somebody who was representing, Ward 1 wasn't. So now it's like we have one person who is going to volunteer their service. We can wait for 2 months and have that exact same. I'm assuming that the election that you will win against nobody else. And
If not, that'll be an impressive
yes,
accomplishment.
and so we can have another 2 months of that seat not being there, or we could say we've had one person who has expressed interest in it. The filing deadline is closed, so nobody can come out and say, hey, I'm actually interested in it. So why would we not fill it now, knowing what the outcome in April is going to be? So that's kind of the way I look at it. And the other thing, what a lot of people don't realize, when you get elected, you raise your right hand down there and you come sit up here, and it's like, okay, it's go time. You have no practice, no experience. We've all been there, like, oh, hey, this is. And I think my first meeting, we approved several thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and I was like, wow, that. And so maybe having a little bit of
Either
onboarding
way.
time.
Either way, he's being thrown into the deep end.
Yeah. So
It's the only end we have.
Discussion?
I think if we had had 2 aldermen who were able to fully participate on behalf of Ward 1 up until now, and then we had a vacancy, it would make sense to just leave that vacancy for a couple of months. But because former Alderman Moores was not able to participate for the last several months, I could understand if residents of Ward 1 felt like, and if the other alderman for Ward 1 felt like she was having to carry, twice as
Okay.
much of the legislative load for that ward. I think since it doesn't, functionally make a difference whether it's now or later as far as maybe this body is concerned, I have no doubt. I don't think that it's going to fundamentally change the outcome of any decision between now and April. I don't think that at all. But for any residents of Ward 1 who feel like they would like that additional representation sooner rather than later, I'm not opposed to going ahead and approving this nomination and going ahead and seating Mr. Sawyer a couple of months ahead of time, just so that they have that representation that much sooner.
Further discussion? Mr. Ross?
no, I was just going to make a motion to approve your appointment.
I'd like to second that.
I am told that a voice vote is appropriate, so I will ask those in favor of the appointment of Mr. Sawyer to serve as the Alderman of Ward 1, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Sawyer, you are appointed, and the mayor will swear you in. Do we have is this it?
How we doing?
Okay. Raise your right hand. I, Shane Sawyer, do solemnly swear
I, Shane Sawyer, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in the office of Alderman for Ward 1,
and I will faithfully demean myself for the office of Alderman, Ward 1,
for which I was appointed on the 10th day of February, 2026.
for which I was appointed on the 10th day of February 2026.
You are now hereby sworn in, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please come here and
You're in for it now.
Tradition.
I need to sign. Okay.
Bet your name tag.
Hang your hat. Hey, look, full house. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Okay, now then, we'll move on to item 2 on the agenda. We're going to have a discussion with Sarah Granthith, with Gilmore and Bell to talk about some options for East Loop funding. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just for the board's knowledge, Sarah comes from Gilmore and Bell. I think it's up in the Kansas City area. Essentially, Gilmore and Bell is a very specialized firm that essentially anytime or a municipality in the state of Missouri needs financing or bonds, that type of stuff, tax questions, Gilmore and Bell is the go-to. So,
All right. Please proceed.
Right.
Ms. Granthith.
Yep. So my name's Sarah Granath. Like
Excuse me.
that's okay. That's okay. Like Mr. Brown mentioned, I'm with Gilmore and Bell, and so our law firm only does public finance. We work and represent only public entities, and in that role, we do municipal finance mainly. And so that's kind of your general, roads, sewer, city halls, things like that, major infrastructure for the cities. And so we have worked with the city in the past, and I know that you're interested, kind of throwing around the idea of figuring out a way to fund this East Loop project, right? And so I was asked to talk about a few different funding mechanisms that are available to the city that might be appropriate for this type of project. I'm going to start with kind of short information on the two main mechanisms of funding that would be appropriate for a project like this. And then I'm happy to answer any questions. Also, kind of during it, feel free to shout out, raise your hand, any discussion. I'm here for you all to get the information that you need. So, and I'm going to talk about ways that you can enter into financing obligations that you must repay. So I'm not going to touch, for the most part, on grants or things like that from the state or federal government. Certainly, I can help answer those questions. I know you're going to have some discussions on those, or you might have already, but I'm talking more about the financings that you would be obligated to repay in this discussion. So as I mentioned, there are two main mechanisms of financing for a road project, and that would be general obligation bonds or a lease purchase financing. And so I'm going to talk about general obligation bonds first. That is kind of the most basic, big picture that you can imagine of public or municipal finance. And so this is the mechanism where you go and you ask the voters for authority to issue general obligation bonds. And with that authority, if it gets approved by the voters, you are given the authority to impose a property tax, a debt service levy on a property tax in an amount sufficient each year to repay that debt as it comes due each year. So general obligation bonds can run out for 20 years. And so you would have an amortization schedule of those payments over the 20 years. And the finance director, along with the county and everyone involved, would figure out the amount that's due each year and what that means per assessed valuation, essentially, per $100 of assessed valuation. That would be your property tax levy. So it comes with the ability to levy that property tax. It also comes with the obligation to levy the property tax unless you have other funding sources that you're going to put towards it. So if a pandemic hit again and there was CARES or ARPA funds that came in and you had extra funds you needed to pay for something, you could use those to repay the general obligation debt in that year, and that would essentially roll back your debt service levy for that year. You would not be obligated to impose it. So that's just an example of ways that the debt service has to be repaid legally, and the bottom line is that comes out of your property taxes. But if you have other funds, you don't have to levy the property tax. Now, general obligation bonds, they are the most secure type of financing for investors because, again, it comes with that ability and obligation to pay them. It comes with what we call the full faith and credit of the city, right? So investors like to see that. Because they like to see that, you often will get the most favorable terms on a bond issuance like that. And I was mentioning to the city administrator before the meeting, I'm not a financial advisor. You all have a financial advisor, I believe, or you have worked with one on the past deals that we've been involved with. I highly recommend, going to a financial advisor for specific rate information, but I can tell you kind of generally that you're going to receive the lowest interest rate on general obligation bonds. Another item that I want to point out on general obligation bonds. So, like I mentioned, you have the full faith and credit of the city. That's the bond owner or the investor's only collateral. So there's no real estate like you would think of as a mortgage. There's no lien on a car like you would think like that. There's nothing that the investor can come and take away from you as collateral. You also can go to, if say the entire project is $15 million, you don't know if you're going to get grants or how you're going to pay for all of this, but okay, big picture, this project is $15 million, that's what we will need to complete it. You can go to the voters and request $15 million of authority. Okay, so then if they approve that, it's called authorized debt. And then you can issue it in tranches or in different series of bonds as you need that money. So say, what you can reasonably afford or want to impose as a property tax is for $5 million of that over 20 years, right? That's the load that you think is a reasonable amount. That's what you reasonably think you can accomplish right now. And maybe you're waiting to hear about other grants, so you don't want to issue the debt. You can do $5 million, and that leaves $10 million of authorized authority that you can then issue in the future for the project identified on the ballot, right? But without going back to the ballot for future approval. And so in that same way, if you only issue $5 million, you're only paying debt service on the $5 million that you issue at that time. You are not required at any point to issue the remainder of the debt. You can always officially abandon it, or just let it kind of lie if there's no reason to officially abandon it. That is big picture on general obligation bonds. I'm going to switch to the second financing mechanism that would be appropriate here. And so that's called a lease purchase agreement. This is similar to if you as an individual went to a bank and took out a mortgage or a car loan, right? Or this is also the mechanism that you would go as a city entity to the bank and ask for funding for City Hall or for a police car or a fire truck. That means that there is collateral, similar to a mortgage, right? So if we do a real property lease purchase agreement, that collateral is the land, the real estate. That doesn't really work for roads, especially a road like this that is going to cover a large area of the city, right? That's very difficult. It's also not that valuable as collateral, just because you would end up with a strip and right-of-way. What are you going to use that for? What is the bank going to use that for? So what we have seen in the past on road projects that go the lease purchase route is that it will be done as what we call an equipment lease, which just means that it's a personal property lease versus a real estate lease. And so with that, the collateral is the actual road itself, the materials that make up the road. If you were to not pay on this, the bank would have the ability to come dig out the road, right? That is their collateral, that is their remedy. Highly unlikely they would do that, but they also know that that road is very important to you. And that is the reason that you would continue to pay on the road, right? With that, a key difference in the two financing mechanisms. General obligation bonds, like I said, voter authority, you have to levy a property tax. It also gives you the ability to levy a property tax. That is a true debt, which means that it's an obligation that extends beyond your current fiscal year, is how the Constitution defines a debt for cities. A lease purchase agreement is not a true constitutional debt because it is an annual appropriation. You are only required to appropriate in any given year the amounts necessary for those funds. Because it's not a debt that carries over more than 1 year, it does not require a vote of the people. Okay? This would just be a vote of the board. However, because you are not requiring a vote of the people and you are not entering into a constitutional debt, you do not have the ability to impose taxes to repay the debt, the not debt. So what that means is a lease purchase financing does not come with any additional revenue streams for the city to repay that debt. You would have to look to existing revenue streams or revenue streams that you can implement in other ways, kind of outside of the financing, in conjunction with, sure, but outside of it. My understanding is that I believe the city is tapped out of sales tax capacity to raise sales taxes. So, you know, you could look at redirecting capital improvement sales tax to pay for that, or I'm not sure the full extent of financial discussions of how you might identify funds for the road. But that is the basic premise of a lease purchase. They are typically a little bit higher of an interest rate because it is a less secure investment for investors. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I will say there is a lease purchase that I'm doing for a pool in the area, a kind of local community of Southwest Missouri. Currently, it has a 4.85% interest rate. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. I would say general obligation bonds that I've seen recently, closer to a 4% interest rate. So that's kind of where we are. Far and away, most communities that are looking to finance road improvements go the general obligation route. That is almost always what we see. But we have done a lease purchase several times for roads. It's just not quite as common. And so that is where I will stop for now to answer any questions.
Questions? And Alderman Neal.
I have a question. Yeah, I was wondering for the property tax under the general obligation bonds.
Yes.
In the event that was the route we pursued, voters approved that. Would that be something where it would be assessed against everyone who reside, like everyone who owns property within the city, or would it be a subset of people? Is there a particular, like, who all would be the people affected by that kind of a bond?
Right. So a general obligation bond would be a debt of the city, so it would be applied equally across all property owners, taxpayers in the city.
Okay.
Questions and comments from anyone else? Yes, go ahead, sir.
On the lease purchase, did you say what the terms were as far as the length of loan on that? Is there a cap, or is it up to us? Is there?
So the general obligation bonds are statutorily capped at 20 years. The lease financing does not have the same statutory cap. What I will say is it kind of depends. We're going real deep here, but the method of sale that you go. So you can do kind of an open market. Any investor, institutional investor can invest. It's a lot of times what we'll go with on general obligation bonds, especially if you're $5 to $15 million range. Or you can do a private placement, essentially go to a local bank that is a good community partner and say, you know, this is important, it's important to us, what's the rate you can give us? Most of the time on a private placement, you're not going to see banks willing to go more than 10 to 15 years with a locked interest rate, a fixed interest rate. Sometimes they will do a fixed for 5 to 10 years and then a variable rate after that that'll have certain resets. Obviously, there's give and take there of risk to the city. But it's generally going to be shorter than 20 years, I would say. But again, I should have mentioned this. So with the lease, like the general obligation bonds, you can do it in sections, right? So if you knew we have segment 1 of this road that we're ready to go on, it's what we can accomplish right now financially. You could do that and then go back later with additional issuances.
Further comments and questions?
Just to make sure I'm understanding that point that you made, because you had talked about seeking authority for a larger sum and then issuing it in portions. Mm-hmm. Would each of those portions then have that 20-year life?
Yes.
So you could, if you had 4 different issues as needed, you could be spreading that out over however long it took, as long as it was 20 years per. Exactly. And I was just thinking about how much the actual obligation would be on the citizens if you had to pay all of it within 20 years. That's obviously going to be very different annual impact on than on the taxes assessed than if you could spread it out over a longer period of time.
Exactly. And I will say, again, getting into a little bit of the nuance here, but with tax exempt financing, there is a requirement that you spend or expect to spend the proceeds within 3 years of when you issue it. So on a large road project, right, that might not be reasonable, that you would finish the whole thing in 3 years. And so that's a reason, along with, kind of breaking up the debt burden, to space it out, is to figure out what you can reasonably get done within 3 years of issuance, not of approval. Again, that authority goes for a very long time. I'm not going to stand here and quote an exact amount, but I mean very long time. The authority is out there. So if you split it up, that's another kind of benefit there.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Comments and questions?
I'll go.
Go ahead, sir.
Kind of torn with these options. In the city of Bolivar, sorry, I gotta put that closer. We're special because we do not have property tax.
Right.
We went to the voters for.
We have a property tax, we just have it set at 0.
Sure, let me rephrase that. Thank you.
Clarification.
We have a 0 property tax. And we asked the citizens to pass public safety tax, saying, hey, we don't want to raise this property tax at all. And so that is the kind of the negative ambience in my head right now. But then the positive is we've been asked multiple times, we need to let the people vote on the East Loop. They want a voice on if this passes or not. This is kind of a, hey, if you guys want this, here's your time to, how do we pay for it? Do you want a property tax raise to fund this project? Or, I know there's other options that we can think about, but, in my head is we've kind of talked and said, we don't want to raise property taxes at all. We want to be unique in the city and have it 0. But that's just my comment, I guess, is kind of torn.
Questions and comments? Seeing none? Oh, yeah. Oh,
Maybe,
Mr. Elford.
Sir, if you could, I think we talked about this in the past. There's the state infrastructure fund. Could you, I know that's probably not what you specialize in, but could you talk a little about that and how that compares to these other options?
Yeah, and I will say I would have read up probably more on that if I had known that was coming. You mentioned it earlier in our talks, but the State Infrastructure Fund, along with kind of several other state programs, are essentially the meaning behind it is that the state pools together their resources, right? And so larger financing with diversity is more, it's a higher investment option for investors because there's more security when it's not just banking on one city doing well, right? And so that's kind of how the State Infrastructure Fund works, is by pooling together all of these kind of different groups. And then they're able, in that way, to offer a lower interest rate. And so the State Infrastructure Fund, along with other state programs, allows lower interest borrowing costs. There are a lot of times different rules and regulations that come with being involved in state or federal programs. Not that they are a bar by any means, but they are, considerations as you are bidding out, making sure that you're meeting certain state and federal government standards on that. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of specifics on the project or on that fund. I'm happy to kind of look into that, write up some information for you to share at a future date. But there are certainly programs like that will help get interest rates lower.
Okay. Any further questions and comments? Is there someone who wishes to make a comment?
I just have a question.
Sir, you'll need to, if you do, you'll need to step forward and identify yourself and speak into the microphone, please.
Tanner Eisenberger. The only question I have is, on both these funding options, what happens if the project goes over budget? What would the course of recourse be for the city?
Okay, thank you.
And so I can speak from the finance side of that, but you're going to see my answer is not probably that satisfying to you all. So in any instance when we're looking at a financing, we would make our best estimate at the beginning of what a reasonable amount for the financing is. On the case of a lease purchase, we are not issuing the debt until we get to a point where you probably already have bids and everything in. And then those most of the time will include a cushion. If not, the financial advisor and I would recommend that you insert some cushion. into those amounts. The bond issuance is a little bit different because of the timing of getting on the ballot, right? You're not always going to have all the final bids in and be ready to move dirt on those projects. However, the financing will cover, the amount that is the maximum within the financing. Anything over that of road costs, project costs would be, up to the city to fund. Just out of, however you're especially in the lease, however you're planning to pay that anyway. But it wouldn't negatively impact the financing to the extent that the financing is not dependent on you putting all of those funds into the road, right? Like the road can cost more than the financing is. That doesn't ruin the financing. Not sure if that's totally satisfying, but essentially overruns would be like any overruns of a project, you'd have to pay them.
Thank you so much for all the information and coming down here and sharing all that with you. This is a project that's been under consideration for many, many years, and we're still trying to get our heads around all of it. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
It's not a question specifically for you. I don't know if this is something that we plan to cover at this meeting, but I would be curious to know what an authorized bond property assessed tax would look like that would be sufficient to fund even one stage of this.
Okay.
Because we have not collected property tax since I've lived in the city, I'm just curious to have an idea in my head how steep that number has to be. Can it be funded out of a fairly nominal property tax, or are we looking at a significant assessment against the property owners in Bolivar? Does that make sense? I don't expect you to know that. I'm not expecting anyone to know it tonight. Just I think that would be useful information to have.
All right.
See how big a price tag that would be on the property owners.
And if I'm able to make a comment there, I think that's a great idea. Like I mentioned, the financial advisor that you all work with is absolutely the one to do that. It's a fairly simple calculation for them to run, not for me or you guys,
Right.
but for them to run, just assess valuation and then, times the debt and an assumed
Yes.
interest rate and run that out. They can run different scenarios, of what you think phasing might look like. So I'll work with the city attorney and city administrator, make sure we can communicate that to the appropriate people and get an answer.
Yeah.
Because I think you absolutely need that information if you're going to move forward with anything.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next item. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of bill number 2026-10.
First reading.
Counselor, let's see, do we have a second?
Second.
This is bill number 2026-10, ordinance number 4117, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 2015 South Morrisville Road in Bolivar, Missouri.
Mr. Lee or Alderman Neal, you want Mr. Lee to explain first and then?
He just always does such a good job.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm sure the board recalls just a number of weeks ago, this item came up as an item recommended from the Planning and Zoning Commission, so it's did not receive a final vote of its condition at that time. So it's here tonight for that purpose. The applicant is here as well, so I think it probably be wise if there's any details about that, I'd let them speak to it. But generally speaking, this is a zoning classification change request for the area located behind an existing manufactured housing district, and that is indicated in the map that you have in your packet. It's there along the west side of Morrisville Road, just south of Aldrich Road, and that is detailed there in the map attachment. So again, it's a section of that property that is zoned R1 currently, and the request is to rezone that to a manufactured housing district. We discussed the last time and with the Planning and Zoning Commission at length the regulations related to that would regulate manufactured housing districts and things that would be required to be done. So if there's questions about that, I can answer them. I don't know that you need that. I know we had this conversation already, so I don't want to belabor that point. But the applicant is here.
Questions and comments, Mr. Wilson?
I think,
Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
just going back through my notes from that meeting, Kyle, just a couple quick questions for you. I think it was brought up by a couple aldermen that at the current time, the park or the district is not really up to code. Is that still accurate? Or I know one of the comments was, let's bring it up to code and then develop the other part. So I guess my question would be, is there still violations that are in the district at the time?
Yeah, so I'd want to probably clarify the way that would be said. So there's lots of areas within town that are what we would call non-conforming, both in all zoning districts, commercial, residential, manufactured housing districts. So that to say it's not up to code would be to say that it may not meet the current regulations. And like I said, that's true all over town, in all of our various zoning districts. But that is true in this case, that this current location misses some elements, various elements. Some of probably the biggest ones that stand out to people would be things like a paved road that is required, fully fenced in the entire area, especially if this zoning change was to happen. There would be an additional area of fencing. And then the other elements of that regulation are enforceable even when something is non-conforming, like the age of the structure. So it already is true, and the applicant has already gone through the process when changing out a unit for unit in a manufactured housing district. So a trailer unit that's being changed out, that already does have to become conforming, and they've already been going through that process and would still have to go through that process whether this zoning change occurred or not. So I don't know if that's a perfect answer to your question, but there's a difference between non-conforming and in violation, and lots of things exist in a non-conforming status.
Right, it's not currently in violation, but if you were building it from scratch today, it would have to look different than it looks now.
Yes,
because
and
it was built it sort of grandfathered in its
correct. And
condition.
any new portion
Right.
would be required. So if the zoning change was granted by the board and additional trailers were to be brought in that new area, all of those new trailer lots would have to become conforming, which in this case, just because geographically how it's set up, that would include things like paving the road all the way leading up to it, because the paved road requirement is all the way out to the public way. Mm-hmm. So some of those things will kind of overlap. Whether the applicant, would intend that or not, it would be a requirement.
Question I have. One, there were some neighbors who I think came to planning and zoning, came to our last meeting. Did they get the option to come to tonight's meeting? Do they know that we would be revisiting this?
So we only public notice the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. So just like the last Board of Aldermen meeting that they arrived at, however they received that information in the normal notice of Board of Aldermen meetings, they had the same information opportunity here at that time, except for the fact that if they attended the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which some of them did, there were additional ones, I believe, here actually that were not at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, they would be aware potentially at that meeting that there was an upcoming Board of Aldermen meeting.
Right, at
So
the
we
planning and
don't-
zoning meeting, we announce
Yes.
this will be taken up by the Board of
Yeah.
Aldermen, and we state which meeting it will
Yeah.
be at, but they might, unless they were checking, they might not
Right.
necessarily know that this was being taken up at
Yeah,
this meeting.
and to be clear, just so what we normally communicate, and this board chose and can at any time, chose to engage differently with this rezone application than they had. But normally the only public hearing for that application is done at the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Right.
So they receive notice for the actual public hearing. They choose to attend or not at that time. It is normative that there's not another public comment period for our rezone application. So we did not give any additional notice, no, and that we don't have a structure in which to
Right.
do that.
Another question I have, kind of to Brian's point, when it was brought before us before, it was one of, there are some aspects of the current trailer park that would not be in compliance with what the code is today, but is in compliance with what the code, has been before. But if he was going to build something new, some of the things he has now is not. And I don't know if he can come. Has there been improvements made since our last meeting to get some of those? Because I know you brought in 4 or 5. I think
We put 6 new trailers in.
Yeah, 6 new, and there was 4 or 5 that were still there that had some issues that you had planned on taking and bringing some in.
Yeah.
Are we any closer to that than we were last time?
Yeah, sir, please step forward and
Thank you.
identify yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, I was here before, so I don't want to belabor the point. So feel free to ask me any
Just
questions. But
state your name and address.
my name's Martin Tyler. I'm one of the owners of the mobile home park here. So.
Okay.
But yeah, so we, since our last meeting, we've gotten rid of that last dilapidated trailer. The skirting has been delivered for all the trailers, so even the old ones will get new skirting, and the new ones as well. I've talked to the post office. We're putting up the, like the mailboxes you see at the apartments. So those ones that are falling off on the road, those are going to come out. So the post office came out. We picked a spot where it's all going to be. So. So yeah, I mean, everything's just still keeps moving. And that's what started the whole thing. Was I had a conversation with him about, how do I bring this up to code, but then still try to, do what I'm trying to do. So I would have to build a fence only to tear it down to build a road. And then I would have to pave the first half of the road and then bring new trailers in there that would destroy the road that I just paid, $50,000 to pave. So that's where I was just trying to work with him on it. So, it's one piece of parcel that somehow has 2 zonings. I've never ran into this before. So that's all I want to do. I just want to keep going. We have a waiting list of people that want to see these trailers. There's a market for these kind of things. I want to do the right thing. I want to do it by the books. So I've also had some conversations of trying to get like some kind of conditional approval where it's like you guys give me 2 years to make it all right, and then that'll give me plenty of time to make the project as a whole be up to code. But that would allow me the ability to pave the road all at once, to pour the sidewalks all at once, that sort of thing.
So question I have with that conditional approval, is that a thing? Because I was always told when we voted on something at planning and zoning, like it's not for potentially what the future could be or anything like that. Is it just for like the here and now? Like if we said, hey, yeah, we're going to approve this, but you've got to do X, Y, and Z before we actually approve it. I was always told, hey, once we approved it, if like I know one of the concerns was the number of trailers that were going to be there, and you came and you said, hey, I'm only going to put this many in here. Like that's the plan, even though it can fit this many. What I've always been told was, even if you tell us, hey, that's my plan, and we approve it, and you say, well, I actually want to put the max number in there, we can't go back and say, well, wait a second, we only approved it based off of this. So can we approve it based off of?
I think we probably could, probably not in the form that it's in this ordinance. I would liken it similar to what we do with plats sometimes, where the developer will enter into a development agreement before the final approval comes down.
But for a zoning district, that you could do a provisional zoning district?
That's what it would be analogous
Yeah.
to. I think we could do some sort of a developer's agreement to
We
condition
could-
the zoning.
Okay.
We could also layer like, if you're trying to do something like that, you could layer like a planned development on it, so it would be an MHD-P.
We love planned developments and
I know.
planning and
That's
zoning.
not, I'm not,
well,
it's not
so
my first
I-
choice, but.
So a couple, and then I want to make sure Alderman Price gets a chance because I know you've been wanting to say something. But I would say if the board has concerns about the density of trailers that are currently under our code, what we allow, which is what we're concerned about, is we're concerned you might put as many trailers in as our code says you can have. Well, if we don't like that, I would say then it would be helpful to give that directive to planning and zoning, and we can come back and we can say, in the future, when we have a manufactured housing development, we want there to be fewer units per acre, or whatever it is. Kyle or Don, at what point would whatever the code says now be what governs his development. So if we were to approve a rezone for him, and then we went back and changed our density requirements of how many units, I'm not trying to like make it less than what you're asking for, but to Dusty's point of make it so that you can make a reasonable
with it,
number.
I just use that as an example.
No, I know.
Like I'm more concerned about, we had neighbors come in and like the roads and some of the conditions of the
Yes.
trailers. Now, I mean, I'm hoping that and I know the projects you've done. I have no, like, I don't think that, hey, you're not going to do this. I just want to make sure that it gets done before, that's the neighbors can. I mean, they're all. We would love to have nicer, a nicer community there, but we want to make sure that if we just approve this, it's not, hey, we're going to do it, and then, we're not going to fix this. And so that's why I like the road. If you can't pave this road without paving this road, then hey, that problem takes care of itself. Now, to your point, I'm going to build a fence to tear it down to build another fence. I think that's silly, and so if we can kind of work out those details, that was my big issue the last time you were in is I don't have any. We need housing, we need places like that, but I want to make sure what we have is up to speed before we add on something different. And if there are things that we can do to get there, and some things are more practical than others. Again, the fence. That would be crazy to build a fence to tear it down to build it again. If we have to pave this road to pave that road, and like you said, I want to pave it all at the one time because of cost, that makes sense. And so if there's things that we can do to get that parameter, and one thing, it's just my personal preference, nothing against any of this process. I would feel if I was one of the neighbors who came to a meeting where we're like, hey, we're not approving it at this time, and they spoke up, and then a couple weeks later we approve it without them knowing that, hey, we're talking about that. I would feel a little upset about that process. So I don't necessarily want to do anything.
And I would just on that point, because I would agree, I would recommend that the board consider any time an application for a rezone where an applicant has gone through all of their duty, we've accomplished all of the public hearing requirements, that I would recommend that the board take a vote and action on that
on us.
at the time, and then that would alleviate any of the cross communication that might have happened here.
Mr. Wilson?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
To your point,
Right.
basically, I think it was a no vote because you couldn't get a second to the second reading. So basically, no one on the board said, yes, we want to vote on this.
But procedurally, it hasn't been rejected.
Procedurally, it has not, but in essence,
It just
not letter of the law, spirit of the law.
my only point here is it just for the staff causes difficulty because we do have specific requirements for public notices. We do charge an applicant for a fee to receive that application and to go through those processes. So it's just my recommendation. The board is going to take this board and other future boards, they will take any, but it's just a point of reference in particular here.
Does this have any other changes from when it was brought to us before?
No. I think it is the same application. It is just coming before us for an actual resolution, so it's no longer a pending application sitting in staff's inbox, potentially ready to be revived at any point, not knowing what the status is.
And I will point out that very few citizens look on our website to read the packet.
I understand.
Read what's on the agenda. So I feel like I have an obligation to remember everything that was said at the last meeting because none of their
Yes.
objections have been nullified.
Right.
And they're still valid,
Okay.
so.
Mr. Wilson?
So it sounds like we have a couple options here, which I kind of like letting the planning and zoning go back to saying, hey, this is, because I think what we were talking about is how many trailers we want to maybe revise, how many can be on land or stuff like that. My suggestion is we kick it back to planning and zoning to have that iron out of what they would like to change or see in future developments.
Would the board want to consider a developer's agreement?
I would like to see what that option looks like, because again, that was my big objection, and the objection I heard was, let's get what's there, up to, and And by approving this, at our last meeting, I was told, well, there's nothing really that now there's gonna, again, certain things that you're gonna have to do to bring that up, but not everything. And so if there is a way to say, we're going to conditionally or do something like this, but before you can start bringing these in, you've got to do this, this, and this. I would love to explore that option and see what that looks like and see if we can get something that's good for everybody. Because I mean, I would hate to reject it and be like, oh, get that stuff done. And to your point, there are things that don't make sense to do it that way. So if that's an option, and like I said, I didn't know that was an option, and I would like to explore that option before we say no, go back to the beginning, or yes, we're going to do it with no conditions on it. So,
Alderman Neal?
I have a couple points. One is my point about having planning and zoning reevaluate the requirements for this kind of district would be separate from deciding the merits of a specific application. It would be this application, up or down, yes or no, tonight. My recommendation would be that we make a firm decision tonight on this application as it stands. And then planning and zoning is happy to take up reevaluating. Because Kyle, remind me, how many trailers, in compliance with the code, the undeveloped parcel, it's a lot of trailers that you could legally fit.
8. You can put 8 per acre.
But it's
and your total acreage, I don't have that.
it was a lot. It was like
it was more than he had intended.
it was a lot. It was a lot. Like, it was enough that I was, and I know that wasn't ever your plan, and I'm not saying that it would be your plan. One of the things we always remember in planning and zoning is you could sell the whole thing tomorrow. So your plans, we can't get too distracted by the plans of someone who's got a great idea for the property, because something could happen. It could end up in different hands tomorrow, and whatever the statute, whatever the code says they can do, they can do. So I remember even when we talked about it, planning and zoning, thinking, wow, that would be a lot of trailers in that location. So I'm certainly happy to go back to planning and zoning and say, let's reevaluate the density that we are comfortable with in a district like that. But that would be separate from whether or not this application is approved. And Dusty, I realize your concerns with other things. Yeah. The neighbors were also concerned about the number, the potential, because again, there's the number intended, and then what happens if more get put in later by a different owner. So I would say that those are two separate things. Planning and zoning is happy to take that up. This would still need to be decided. And my interpretation, Don and Kyle, you can correct me if I have this wrong. We do not have an application to enter into any kind of planned development district. We have an application for a straight up zoning change. So if we want to explore the possibility of an alternative structure, I would think that if that is the way the board is wanting to go, the appropriate solution would be to vote this no, the specific flat zoning change you're asking for is not approved, and you are encouraged to work with staff on bringing to us something that could look different that maybe we would be willing to approve. So I would not recommend there being continued discussion with the applicant on this application, because this application turned in was a request for the zoning change. And if we want to just grant it and try to change it later, I don't think that would make any sense. So I think if you want to pursue an alternative method, the appropriate response would be to deny this application and encourage the applicant to come back and explore with staff other alternatives.
So question.
Further discussion?
Question I have on that is, you know, it costs to do a planning and zoning application. You know, there's time involved in it, different things like that. This, I think, is a very unique situation that there has been a situation that arose that we haven't necessarily had the conversation for. And so I would be curious if there is a potential another application that we could do that is there a way that we could waive
the
that
application
fee and just say he's, you know, we're doing it, because again, it's not,
nobody knew it was even an option.
you know, it's
Sure.
not our fault. It's not the applicant's fault. It's just something that, you know, sometimes you learn as you go. And hey, unfortunately, like I would feel bad, like, oh, sorry, we're going to pivot at the last minute, make you go this way. And oh, by the way, there's a fee associated with it. I mean, I would like to see if there is another process or application, like if we could just maybe not charge.
Counselor, do we have that power?
Probably not. Not right now. I mean, we need to probably take this back to zoning and talk about it.
Not that we can't decide on this application,
Oh, well, yes, you can decide on this.
but as far as what
Yes.
next steps would look like.
Okay, my question is, do we have
I guess
do
we
we have
can
the power to
discuss it.
we have the power to waive the fee?
Yeah, we can always waive the fee.
Oh, Mr. Sagerster.
I think this man deserves either a yes or a no answer tonight. Planning and zoning gave him a yes. Okay.
Although it was not unanimous.
It was not.
But it was a yes,
It
yeah.
was majority yes.
Mhm.
Okay, and I don't think he needs to be coming down here every month for us. Well, yeah, I'm gonna vote for it this time. No, I'm not gonna vote for it this time. Just
Alderman
tell him,
Price?
and then if we wanna do a planned development deal, he can jump through those hoops.
I understand.
Right.
I tend to agree with you. Kyle, I may have some questions for you about this, because this isn't my job.
Sure.
This type of subdivision, it's technically a trailer park?
Yeah, I mean, it's called a manufactured housing district, but I mean, commonly would be referred to as a
There you go,
trailer park.
Manufactured housing district.
Mhm.
So this is a separate lot, is,
No, it's the
Same lot.
it is one
Yeah,
lot
this
with two different.
zoning district, correct. Mhm.
Okay, so could an applicant, not this one, could any applicant come in and say, I own property, okay, let's give a real life example. I own 20 acres.
Mhm.
I want to make a 20-acre modular home district. Is that something the city considers? Is that something that
Yeah,
could
any
happen?
applicant, I think the minimum size is 2 acres for a manufactured housing district. So, I mean, the board's had other applications
Yeah,
for
we've-
manufactured housing districts
We remember.
that have not been approved, but ultimately, I think there was one in my tenure here. There's been one other one, and it was, it had various outcomes. It was ultimately not approved, but any applicant, absolutely, if they meet the requirements of the zoning district, this one happens to have a minimum size and things
Right.
like that. But
You
yeah,
can always
absolutely.
ask, but that doesn't mean that it would be
That's what I'm asking.
approved.
Yeah.
Is it likely to be approved? Any other new, not necessarily an adding on.
But that would be entirely up to this board.
Yeah, I don't.
Mr. Wilson.
The likelihood is whoever sits up
We're
here.
opening a door to
Okay.
more of these developments.
Mr. Wilson.
And
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
you're good.
I agree with Alderman Neal and Sags. I believe we should give this gentleman an answer, but I also agree that if we does want to apply, I feel like we should be able to waive that fee. But then once we do that project again, I know some concerns was getting the people that had concerns another chance to have their voice.
Well, any new application will receive
Public
the
notice.
public
So I know
notice.
that was
Yeah.
a concern that
Yep.
some of
Yep.
this board would
Yep.
have. So my recommendation is we vote for it. We vote on this issue, and then either way it could go back to this gentleman's reapplication to planning and zoning and get it all ironed out.
Further comments and questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so and Don, you can probably state this more clearly than I can. To Alderman Price's point, we are under no obligation to approve any zoning application with regard to any property, and we can be as arbitrary as we want to be. Like, there is no like, well, you let so-and-so have their property rezoned. Like, we can say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think it's the exact same question. Every parcel is unique, and the city is allowed to rezone however they see fit. Yes? Is that accurate?
Within certain limitations.
Cut out the apparently arbitrary. And so there isn't that risk of opening any kind of door. You might have people who think that is more likely, and you might have more applications, but we would be under no obligation to grant any of those applications.
Okay.
I think a couple of factual matters that are relevant in this case, and I don't know that they'll be determinative here. We have got a piece of property or a portion of a parcel that currently has only really one potential access point to it because of the way the areas around it have been developed, with a cul-de-sac on the north and then a private drive on the west, right? That's west, yeah. And so at this time, the most likely way to access that parcel of property is through the current development, and that limits the number of likely uses for that property. So each time on planning and zoning, when we get a zoning change application, we're thinking, what is the best use for this property? Is this best as a commercial development? Is this best as residential? So in this case, we're somewhat limited by what is going on around it. Now, I will say in this case, we also have the sort of
Yes,
happy accident of you still own the property to the south.
yes, this one.
Right. But when we are, and you can correct me both of you if I have this wrong, when we are looking at that, the fact that you happen to own the neighboring land doesn't necessarily mean, like, again, it could sell
We're
tomorrow.
not setting a precedent, and we can say no if he comes back on that law.
Right, there is no, to my knowledge, there is no setting of precedent, like, that is not a thing when it comes to granting a zoning change application. Each one is unique.
Right.
So we would not have to worry about that. So again, I just.
That's basically what I was getting
Yep,
to.
no, and I wanted to make sure I addressed that. So we have the unique factors here of a limited access to the parcel that is the subject of debate. And then, yeah, if you see that parcel next door, it is currently owned by the same owner, but it is a separate parcel. And so we really do try to keep sort of a certain amount of blinders on of like this parcel, what's the best way to use this parcel as it currently exists with the access that it has. But I realize tonight what we have is this application, current flat zoning change, up or down, I think is what we need to decide.
Further comments and questions?
No, I'd like to make a motion for a second reading.
Okay, seeing none, I am entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2026-10.
And you got it?
Second. Madam Clerk, Counselor.
This is bill number 2026-10, ordinance number 4117, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 2015 South Morrisville Road in Bolivar, Missouri.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Neal,
Aye.
Sagasser,
Aye.
Ross,
No.
Ballard,
Nay.
Wilson,
Nay.
Price,
No.
Raines,
Nay.
Sawyer,
Nay.
So that's 6 nays and 2 yeses by a score of 6 yeses, 2 yeses, and 6 noes. We have rejected Bill number 2026-10. And thank you for your indulgence. And I think.
Can I say one thing real quick, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor?
yes, go ahead, please.
You know, my vote, obviously, I want to go back and look at the application process to do with that. With that, Don, if we want to potentially waive that fee, since he's already paid the fee for the one, we're looking at the other, does the board need to do something? Do we need to give direction? Is that something that staff internally can do?
I mean, if you want to give staff the authority to do it, they can do it.
Should that be voted on right now? Should that we take action on that
Right
now?
There's technically no application.
Yeah, there's no application. Okay, right. Okay. All right.
I would think I had that authority to
Yes. Okay.
give them the waiver.
Okay. All right. All
I'm
right.
good with that.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you very much. Moving on, I'm entertaining a motion for the adoption of resolution of 2026-01.
First reading.
Second. Oh, it's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Resolution.
Before we make a
Counselor?
motion, can I ask a question
Yes.
about the resolution?
Yes. Okay.
Because I understand this is a resolution, this is for the build grant, correct, that we're hoping to maybe
Yes.
get?
Yes,
So I just want to
correct.
make sure that it's clear that this resolution does not obligate the city, like, this is not the vote that says we are definitely doing any of this. This is just supporting your application for the build grant.
Correct. Let me
Yes.
only clarify that in the build grant, we are submitting it with the intent to have a 80-20 cost share, 20% of the city. We can always deny the grant if we are granted it, but we are saying in this resolution that at the current state, in the current opinion of the board, we feel that pursuit of 80% of the funds, we would be willing to match 20%. If we don't believe that's true, well, hopefully I would have known that a
Right.
couple months ago because it takes a lot of work to make a build
Sure.
grant. But regardless, we are saying that much. That again, we can still turn it down. This is not a commitment. This is not a contract. We haven't gone out for bid or anything like that. But we are saying that if we were to be granted 80% of the funds, we're ready to do the project with the 20% of the funds. So I wouldn't want it to be, we're saying that in the application, so I wouldn't want to be disingenuous here.
Question to that.
Yeah,
What
Ms.
if
Price,
we're
go
not
ahead.
happy with the design and we want to make some changes?
That's a great question.
I mean, that portion of, well, I guess there's two. I think I'm reading between the lines about that. There's an element that you may be concerned about. Well, if you're talking about the roundabout, there's really no redesign option. If you're talking about the leg that is not currently contemplated in it, that exists within the county, that had much public discussion, that was something this board, this city, put forward as an option at the very initial conceptual design. It was rejected by other parties. Ultimately, the board did not select that as part of the scope of the East Loop project. It could be added at a future scope, absolutely, but this application applies to, the scope of work that the board has already contracted, designed, gone through environmental, all the processes to be ready for this application. So it does, if you're talking about that little S curve that could potentially exist someday from Buffalo Road connecting over to Sandy Lane, this doesn't contemplate that. It doesn't limit it in any way, but it doesn't contemplate it because that hasn't been part of the scope of this project. We don't have environmental done on it. We don't have preliminary design. The strength of our application is all the things I'm listing. The strength of our build grant application is being shovel ready for a project.
Mr.
That doesn't mean you couldn't add that scope on at some future time, but that would take additional,
Alderman Neal.
work.
A possible, this may be a clarification, I'm hopefully not presuming, if it was a modification to the current plan for the north portion, specifically where and how it intersects with Buffalo Road. If it was a matter of wanting to, if there were a desire to shift that over based on community feedback, how would that impact this application? Is that more what your question was?
Be considered not a shovel-ready project.
Right. So what would happen if as part of the project we wanted to? I know there would be additional work that would need to be done for that portion of it because that portion hasn't gone through all those steps. It's gone through the steps based on the information that we gave you, the information that you guys had. You got all of that ready, and the engineering firm got all that ready. If there were a desire to change that at all, what does that mean for this grant application?
And that's what I was trying to clarify is we write this as broad as we can. But if the build grant was offered to us and they accepted that as within the scope as we have delineated it, then it would be covered in the scope. I can't really say whether or not they would accept that addition. There's contingencies built into our write-up of the grant application, but I can't tell you for sure that they would consider that addition within the scope of this grant application. I can't tell you for sure. I can tell you I've planned to ask for it if we receive the grant, but I can only submit the grant with the preliminary documents that we already have. I think it's still worth applying this round. This is extremely competitive. I don't ever want to say we're not likely to get something, but it's very competitive. 5% of applicants in 25 were granted. But working through this process is an important element. Most applicants that do receive the build grant are multiple time applicants, and so this might just be our swing one at a grant, but it's not within the scope already, so it's not specifically delineated in the scope. We are trying to write it broad enough that I know obviously from our last public meeting that is potential. I've already been having conversations with the engineers about some cost estimates for that, but I just can't answer for sure if we were granted this whether they would accept that within the current scope.
So you don't know. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So you don't know, for example, if we were one of the 5%, everything happens, Santa comes early, we get the grant, all of that. They start work, we start work on the roundabout. While that's going on, we start going through and doing environmental studies for this last little section, get everything like that ready.
At the very beginning
so
of
that by the
that-
time the build gets there, you don't know
At
if
the
they
very
would be
beginning
okay.
of this grant conversation, if we were granted it, we would be having conversation with them about an amendment to our application to extend that scope. Because at that point, we might have additional information like that.
Okay.
That we just don't have
We
now.
just don't know. Okay. But, and then and then I promise I'll let you ask
So-
the question.
yeah.
But for the 80-20 that you're saying, because I know we've got multiple funding sources that we've already lined up,
Yes.
80% of what, 20% of what? Do we have any idea of what our portion, if we
Yeah.
won this lottery of the build grant, based on staff's excellent work and then all of the stuff that's been done in preparation, what would that be what would the city's obligation be?
Yes, so if you look at the various breakdowns on that one sheet you received tonight as a handout, this is you've received this on other times as well.
Yes,
but
I know.
It breaks it down. There's different ways in which to go about it. So if you see that and you look at, I'm looking at the colored portions, A, B, C.
Okay.
Here.
Yes.
A breaks down, if you took path A and you got an 80-20 grant, you'd be looking at 3.6 million to finish the project. If you take path B, which has some caveats of discussion, you'd be a little lower at 2.8. Path C, which has some additional caveats at 1.7. Some of those things I just can't answer for you tonight because we're looking for the maximum funding. I would say no greater picture than 1.7. That would be the very best picture.
Okay.
And then the worst case under all the costs that we know of right now would be in that 3.6 million.
Okay,
so
that's
I can
super
give you
helpful.
that
Thank you.
range, but I can't
Nope, that is
answer
great.
all of those.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. And I hate to be hitting that dead horse. A couple conversations that I've heard was people that actually do look on the city websites and look the agenda, saying that their questions are, if we do this resolution, we are not saying we're going to do it right now. It's saying, hey, we're applying for this application. We're hoping we get it, but we're not saying we are going to put pen to the paper saying we're going to do the full project right now.
And if they say no, like if the build grant comes back as no, we're not.
This is no obligation. It's a resolution, so it's really truly no obligation. It's your opinion in the moment, which is what we're asking for you to opine in the moment, is that you think an application for a build grant is reasonable and prudent for the city. Now, it's of course it's a little disingenuous for me to submit an application if we as a board, you as a board are saying we have no intention of doing this project even if we get the grant. So we are saying we intend to do the project if we get the grant, but we might be saying if we get the grant and we get some other funding sources. And so if that is the intent of the board, that's fine. And we would still submit the grant, and we would still, if we at the end of the day want to say no to the grant, then we say no to the grant. And that is absolutely, you're not bound to something. You're not entering a contract with this. You're saying, let's see if we can get these grant funds that are out there and are available.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Questions and comments? Counselor, does the resolution require a first or second reading?
It does not.
Okay, then, I will, and I'm told that a voice vote is appropriate for a resolution. So, those in favor of resolution 2026-01, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We've approved resolution number 2026-01. Mr. Lee, would you care to describe the disposition of surplus John Deere tractor?
Okay, this was an item that the board discussed under our recommendation last meeting, and the conclusion of that was to direct me to ask the Flemington Special Road District for their highest and best offer. I did that, and that's what they have submitted for the purchase of our equipment that we have taken out of service. So we have a tractor with a mower boom, for those who are listening and did not know about this from the previous meeting, but that's the piece of equipment we're discussing, and that is no longer in service. We have replaced it with a newer piece of equipment, and they came back both with their highest and best offer at $8,000 as I asked, and they also provided some comps. We did review that. I think it was, their comps were reasonable. I think it's possible we would receive more at auction. I think it's possible we would go to auction and they would bid on it and they could, I don't know, can't really speculate on that. It's up to you to decide whether you think it's a reasonable offer or not. And so if you have any questions for me, but I think ultimately it's just a matter of, would you like to sell it to them for $8,000 or would you like us to make our best efforts on an auction site and then we'll sell it for the highest bid there.
I'll move
Okay,
to
Mr.
accept-
Sawyer?
Yeah, I'll
Go-
move to
go
accept
ahead.
the $8,000 bid from the Flemington Special Road District.
Let's see.
Jumps in with full speed.
If nobody has any questions, I'd second that.
I mean, that kind of on that same outline of, we talked about last time of helping other communities, hoping that one day other communities would help us if we need that. So I will second that as well.
Okay.
I guess you already got a
You have to
second.
third it.
I
You
get to
can't
third
second
it.
it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we do have a motion and we do have a second, and a voice vote appears to be appropriate. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have approved the disposition of the mower with the boom. Chief Watkins, it's my understanding that we have some unhappiness that you want to share.
Oh, how kind of you.
I am the messenger. So kind of back, make sure we're all on the same page. We've known for a couple of years we need to replace a server. It's about 5 years replaced it last in 2019, so we should have did 24 because of budget. We kind of put it off, waiting. Was planning to do it this year. There's this thing called AI and data houses, and they're taking. If you haven't heard the news, they're taking RAM, they're taking hard drives, they're taking servers. So the quotes in your packet for the hardware, as of today, are no longer valid. So we were on both. There's two quotes in your packet, one from GovDirect and one from JMark, and both of those in the past 72 hours have gone up 80%. So you see one from GovDirect that in the packet for $36,000. The updated one today from them is, and I have it if you want to see it, is $64,903.35.
So are these bids no longer valid?
So literally both of our vendors are saying prices will not be guaranteed until the item is shipped.
What?
So
When does it ship?
So that I don't know. So we could order, yes, we could order something today, approve this, and if it's back ordered, we get whatever price it is whenever it's ordered, or wherever it's shipped from the manufacturer or shipping house. So last week the GovDirect bid was $36,000. Today, a week later, it's $64,000. JMark was $47,000. Today they're at $87,000. The differences we're seeing is the RAM and the hard drives. So we're going to start seeing this across the board. Laptops. I was on the phone to JMark up till 5:30 today. You can 2 weeks ago were 1,900. They're already now seeing the laptops at 3,900. This is going to be a much bigger issue. So we were talking. Captain Kendall and I, he knows IT too, so we were both on talking with JMark. Lots of options, lots of things to work through. We could take. Is this like COVID, where things shot up immediately and then came back down? The problem is with chips and stuff like that, it takes a long time for some of these manufacturers to gear up. We can't. We talked about our options, and Chris, jump in if I forget anything. We can. We're 75% sure that we have our warranty through our servers through October. We're 75% sure that we can extend the warranty, but the warranty only applies if you can get the parts for the server. So then there's that. So we have, like I said, we have a quote for $64,903, and I can pass this out so everybody has a copy, just so you guys can actually have it in front of you.
But that quote is worthless.
It's a quote, not.
It's the
not.
best
I
guesstimate
mean,
we can get.
But it's not. It's if
I-
in a week, like it is.
I don't-
It is a garbage
Right.
number.
So-
I don't
so-
understand why they aren't honoring this quote. That's the point of a quote.
Nobody's honoring quotes
So I
at
got
this
a question.
point.
So
Not everybody all at once, please.
sorry. So we had a pretty in-depth dive into our IT company. And when we did that, we knew that this was going to be we needed to replace this and this and this. And at the time, the prices again, I understand things change, things like that. So the question I would have to city staff in general, why even get bids and compare them when we're making our decision off of something that this is the price that it's going to be. Oh, now it's time to order, and it's literally gone up 80%.
So I want to be fair. This is not J-Mark's fault. This is not Government Direct's fault. This is a world we're at, and no vendor. I mean, the Government Direct. I was on the phone with him, and he checked 5 different sites where they get their direct wholesale stuff. Every one of them has shot up in the past week.
Question I have: why do we need to replace the server?
Just like your laptop, it starts running slower. It doesn't work as good. There's more RAM. We have more memory. Just
Does our server we
service life.
currently have work?
Today, yes. At this second, yes. But just like a laptop, you can bring it up and get the blue screen of death tomorrow.
Or it could work for.
Go ahead, Mr.
Or it can, or agree.
I kind of going back to what you were saying. We had this in-depth conversation. And I believe that we were like, it is the end of life for almost all of our equipment. And I think we as a board said, okay, we need to do some kind of upgrade to get to the time. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we're not at this. I mean, we might be with computers. I don't know. But I mean, I don't think it's the city staff's fault that.
By no means do I want. I'm not saying like, hey, city staff, why did you make the prices of this go up? What I'm saying is, when we make a decision and we get the information, what good is that information if, like, oh, hey, it's changed. Oh, hey,
I would say this is a one-off situation. I don't think we continually do that. I think this is just
It's just like when COVID. I mean,
an anomaly.
We're changing daily in the IT world. Prices are changing daily. It's a beyond any.
So in the IT world, do you think that the prices are going to come down or continue to go up?
That's the pardon the pun $1 million question.
That's like buying crypto.
It is, and that's where I'm. This is you guys. There's something we can say. We can kind of kick the ball down the field and say, okay, we can extend our warranty. Do the extended warranty this year. Do the upgrades to software. There's stuff we have to do. Windows servers going.
Did we put this out to multiple companies for bid, or did we just go J-Mark and check on the?
Government Direct is a government purchase. We did these two. We're going to see this no matter what. And the longer if we want to purchase, it's industry wide. We've, like I said, 5 different sites, wholesales. They all buy from the same places. It's not going to have any difference.
Are these comparing apples to apples?
Yes,
Perfectly?
or
as close as you can?
as close as we can.
Why is there a $22,000 increase in a company that we do business with as opposed to going to GovDirect? They're $22,000 more for J-Mark.
They're not doing the install. J-Mark's doing the install.
But it's gonna have to have. I hear what you're saying, but they're gonna have to do the.
So
$22,000 to install it?
That's why we went out and found another place to buy it at a cheaper price.
Okay, who does the install?
J-Mark has to do the install.
For $22,000?
No, actually, the install is more expensive than that.
But their initial bid does not include the install, does it? Or
It
does
did-
Both of these are hardware only. We're just
Hardware
talking about
only.
hardware.
So there you
That's $22,000 more expensive on the equipment?
So I'm not arguing.
I'm a little flabbergasted with a company we've had such a long relationship with.
Well, at this point, we're not asking the
87
board to make a decision. We'd rather, just hold tight right now and do some more research, see about the warranties, because we're not asking for you to approve an additional $40,000 for the servers.
And I would say this sounds like a boat in which we have lots of company.
I mean,
And-
you're going to start seeing this across.
And a lot of
industries in
company
the
that
world.
has a lot more power than we do to potentially find solutions and things like that. And so there is a risk to waiting, certainly, because sometimes people find solutions that work for them and they leave everybody else behind. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those times where we have enough company in
Now-
the boat that somebody figures out
Well,
a way, because Congress will also need to upgrade their server. There are other people, other entities that will also be in the same situation and will be unhappy with trying to make a determination for their business bottom line of how much it's going to cost them to upgrade, and basically a giant blank check in the price. The price, that's just not going to be sustainable for more than just us.
Well, here's where I think I see it going is everything's going to subscription-based services. Microsoft Office, subscription-based. Word, subscription-based. All these you pay per month. So what they want you to do is move to the cloud. So you move to the cloud. Who's buying all the hard drives and chips? The cloud services for the cloud. Why? So they can justify you paying monthly for the cloud. For storage. So they're buying it's I perceive it as self-serving. I'm not going to say that broadly, but you're going to see it whether it's us, whether it's a school district, whether it's a hospital, whether it's small businesses. Computers are, for the next, don't know the window, because there's also a supply and demand market. If the companies making the chips can do it for $2,000, last week they were selling them for $3,000. Next week they're selling for $10,000. As a business owner, I'm going to start making those more chips and get that. Well, eventually there's going to be some more chips. The price is going to come down. How long does it take to recalibrate the market? I don't have that answer.
Yeah, and we don't know when our need becomes an urgency, and at that point we'll be stuck with whatever situation we're in. Can you? And I apologize because I do not move in tech spaces. The analog world works fine for me a lot of the time, but I know we had talked about moving to more cloud-based storage and things like that. But the server that you're talking about replacing, is that something that, regardless of what we do with the cloud that we were talking about doing, that is still a need, or is that something that we only need now because we're not yet ready to be fully cloud-based?
So lots of dynamics there. Some things we're moving to the cloud, like in code you voted for, we're going to the cloud. Documents, we have Office Online, so we could store some of it. Some of it is just too big. We have to buy more data. I can't speak to the issues of PD, security, CGIS rules, all that kind of stuff you always talk about. I don't know how that looks. If as we were on the phone with Jamrick, they said they have one city that moved everything but their PD to the cloud. And they just had a downsized law server. I don't know whether that's the right option. By looking at our data, our biggest data is PD, just because of the files and the records. So is that an option?
Sorry, I guess I was asking about the current, the plan. I understood that there was some kind of an already plan in place. So we were like, hey, we're already moving in this direction. We have an idea. Not that we got to figure something else out, but that we already had a plan. I guess what I'm saying is, under our current plan, is this particular piece of equipment something that we would need once that plan is fully implemented? Or is this just like a bridge piece of equipment because we're not yet ready for that plan to be implemented?
There's always, and this is more of probably Don, Paula, you guys, how much do you feel of, if you guys have legal issues and those documents, are they secure enough on the cloud or locally hosted? We know we have our security, we know our systems in place. That's a question of risk of.
I know. I saw the net back in 1995.
What's that risk that you guys are willing to take? What Don recommends as far as legal? I don't have those answers. I'm sorry.
I guess, and maybe Thomas,
Yep.
you know what I'm talking about, that we had sort of talked about moving toward more cloud-based, and so we had different needs, like our server. I just remember there being we're trying to save money and not have to do the same server needs and move more to the cloud.
I don't know if we ever said everything was going
I'm not saying everything, but I'm just saying I know so little about how this works. Is this something that's like we would still need this once we've done as much to the cloud as we had talked about doing?
Yes.
This thing we would still need, or this is just poor timing of our warranty, and so we need to replace it, but ideally we wouldn't need
This
it.
is downsized of what we currently have.
Okay, so this is
currently
already
we
taking
have-
into account the move to
We've
cloud.
already downsized it from what our current operation mode is, but going from, we moved PD from their video off of our local, we're moving encode off. We've already downsized it some.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess I'll just, so we know the options. There are the options to go ahead and buy this server at this best price guesstimate, or we can wait and see what happens. We can go back to the drawing board, see what looks like, going as much virtual as we can, waiting time. I mean, that's kind of where this is up to you guys at this point.
So a
of how you
question
want
I
us to
have,
proceed.
can we put it out for bid, like an actual, I mean, we got the Gov, and then we got J-Mark, and there was a $22,000 difference in the equipment. Do we think that if we put it out there for bid, there could be another $22,000 difference? I mean,
By the time you get it back, probably this number
At this
will have.
point,
but
as
it won't
value
matter
things are
'cause
changing,
you're not
I
locked to
don't
this
think
number.
so. But we can absolutely.
It doesn't.
I think it goes back to the kind of scenario we were talking about earlier. Is this isn't even right?
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been made yet and it hasn't been shipped, so
Yeah.
we really don't know.
Yeah, we have
So
no
I
idea.
think
So-
what-
blank
So
check.
if we go out to bid, I would probably say the prices we get are going to be the same way. Nobody's guaranteeing any prices. So whatever bid we get, I don't know if they'll even bid on it because of the prices changing so fast.
It's almost like the
Can I make this, I suggest we just wait and not panic buy and see.
Love it.
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
So make an observation and ask a question. The observation that I would make, similar to the one I made when we were looking at purchasing a fire apparatus, which is if we place an order, Don, and then they're getting ready to ship it, and they say this is the price, and we say yeah, pass. Sounds like the way the market is, they would have no problem finding a new buyer
I would
if they're able to charge whatever astronomical price they're putting on it, which means they would by definition have no damages, like they wouldn't be harmed at all by our going back on the order.
Or we could buy it and resell it.
So my point is, as we talked about with the fire apparatus, like we could do something like get an order in so that we're in the queue for a new whatever it is, whenever it can, and then when the ship date actually comes around, if they have to notify us before they actually ship it or whatever, whatever that price comes back as, bail on it at that time, but at least be in the queue and not be, as I would understand it, not be bound, not have any negative repercussions if we decline to purchase at that time, but go ahead and be in the queue for a new server.
How urgent is a decision?
I mean,
Longer wait, the price
Right.
goes up.
I mean, it's just and I think somebody said like it's like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Are we waging it's going to go up or down? And I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
I
and so
really
then
don't.
my question, that was my comment, was that like just because we place an order now, practically speaking, does not mean that we have to pay whatever price, because we can just say no and they will not be harmed because someone else will pay the price. So they won't have lost out anything by us canceling. My question would be, what happens if the server that we have goes down? Like, as a practical, what are the repercussions? What happens if our warranty is out or they can't get the parts or whatever? Like, what are we looking at if we cannot, if it's
So
not
we have
replaced?
a little bit redundancy, as right now we
Okay.
have a dual server.
Okay.
So basically 2 computers running side by side. So if one goes down, we have some redundancy. If they both go down, it's bad.
Okay.
I mean, we're I mean, I don't want to be, cry wolf, but we don't have documentation. We have computers and what anybody's stored on their OneDrives. And so, I mean, the information, the projects, it's significant.
And does that mean that we would just, while it
We
is-
would.
that-
Sorry.
Does that just mean that for that time period until we could get those parts replaced, we would not have access to it? Or does that mean it is gone forever?
It
and
wouldn't be gone forever
irretrievable?
because we are
Okay.
backed up. We have multiple layers of backup.
So we would just have
So
it
the
with-
data's there. It'd be how long, how quick, and how expensive it would be to get a server back up and going. And at that point, we'd pay whatever, I guess you'd say market price at that moment to get a server in here and built to get us back up and going. It's a disaster plan, but there's all timed and built in. So it's like if it happens tomorrow, we're probably talking a week to get, if we can get another equipment in here to get it rebuilt and re up and going.
But it's currently under warranty.
It's going on warranty. So
Well,
right
but,
now
but
we're
you said the
okay.
warranty's only good at
to October.
Well, but
No.
even then you said it's only if the parts can be gotten.
Right. So so at this point, we have HP equipment. And currently, at this point, HP is saying yes, we have the parts, we have the availability.
Okay.
Staff recommends we just kind of sit tight right now. Let us regroup, do our homework, and we'll come back with something.
Well, yeah, like I said, I just keep in mind that we could place an order and not necessarily consider ourselves bound. The other related question to that, and I apologize if you answered this and I just missed it. Are the companies giving you an idea of when, like what the time is between placing the order and the actual shipping date that will be
It depends on the specs and that part.
like between a week and 3 years, between a month and 3 months? Like what do we have? We have no sometime before.
It just depends on the exact pieces of that spec of that drive.
So when we asked them for they did not submit any kind of idea of when.
Like this Gov Direct deal, everything that I understood is they could get them next couple days, but when they get them and it's shipped, I don't have that answer.
But
Because they're getting pieces and
Right, I get that, but so I get that it's hard to pinpoint, but I'm trying to get an idea of, are we saying it would ship within a month? Are we saying it would ship by 2030? Are we saying like
I think we'd have to go back and ask the vendor that question.
I don't have
Yeah,
that answer.
this was thrown in our lap
Sure.
in the last 3 hours.
I just typically when we see a bid, a lot of times we'll see, hey, this is the tractor you're getting. We could have it
Agreed.
to you in 2 weeks. We could have it to you in 7 months. I mean, some of them are long. Like fire apparatus, it was like,
Yeah.
come
But I
see us
think
in a year and a half.
But
or
I think
whatever it
that to
was.
highlight that dynamic, in the past since Friday, so 2 weeks ago, J Mark's vendor, who they get pretty much, they go directly to HP. They said we're honoring prices for 14 days. Last week, they told them we're honoring prices for seven days. Yesterday, they said we're not honoring prices till it's shipped. I mean, that's how dynamic
Right.
of a situation, and this is HP. So, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to stay that way.
It's not a sustainable situation. Like
I don't think it is either.
Yeah.
So, we do. So they're also in that packet of JMark. There is other things we do need to do. I don't know if we want to approve those tonight or not. We have to up the servers. They're running 2016 server, and that is a Microsoft issue that's going to end of life. So just like Windows 10 went to end of life and not supported, we had to upgrade to Windows 11. Same thing with server software. So we need to do that, and then
Which numbers are those?
that is. I forgot actually. That was the 12,000, I think. That is server. It was the 9,000. There's 9,000 of cost for the server licenses, and I think it was 12,000 of labor. Or-
25,625 for labor.
So labor is two different. Labor is two different products. One is the server software upgrade, and the other one is we have a server and we have it separated into multiple ones. Like everything else, what we had, the software we did have, it got bought by another company, and they raised our they're raising annual subscriptions from $1,500 a year to $17,000 a year.
Say those numbers again.
Annual subscription for VMware went from we were paying approximately $1,500 a year to it managed it took one server, did it multiple servers. We could use it, security levels, different stuff. It went from $1,500 a year to 17,000 a year.
Is that 1,000%?
That's almost. Yeah.
Like that's about 1,000%.
So the company got
increase.
bought out. The company that bought them, I think, what they're saying, they want to kind of push everybody off of this and go to their software. It's basically they want to put it out of business so they can push their software, like everything else. So
Did I mention it like Amazon?
J-Marks recommending we move to the Hyper-V, which is the same software. The software comes free with Microsoft and servers, but there's to move to that and the management software. That's what we're seeing here.
So where is this in our packet? Sorry, I'm looking
It's
for
all-
the numbers.
That's
that
all.
we get.
That's all in the J-Mark packet.
Yes, sorry,
The
there's a
J-Mark.
lot of numbers in the J-Mark one. Can you help me identify which page we're looking at for the ones that you think we need to do regardless of the wait and see approach with the server?
Page 4, right?
So anything past the server replacement. So you see Microsoft Office licensing. That's the Windows Server going to 2025. That's the licensing there and the server for that. And
Can you give me a number?
So it's the 9768 for the licensing.
Which page are you on?
Page 3 of 7.
Page 3 of JMark.
Page 3, 9768?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Thank
the
you.
next item in there is data. So we were talking. So I would say we don't vote on that tonight. We might be able to wait on that. That is our backup. That's we're trying to do match everything software. We have to make a decision on that, especially if we're waiting on the server. So wait on that. And then the next two items. So that you have the labor. You have the fixed fee ESX to Hyper-V migration. That's
the 10660?
yes. That's changing the software. That's going from that's had significant
Okay.
increase. And then the OS upgrades. That's the cost for upgrading the Windows. The server licenses.
That would still be.
So those labors would still be, and the 9768 would still
So like
still be.
32,000 is what you're asking for
Yes.
tonight?
Yes, and that's already budgeted. It's in the budget. We already planned for it. We just the big thing was the server cost that we had budgeted. It's still in the budget. Just it blew the budget out of the water because of quotes.
So this stuff that you said we have budgeted for, that's 32,000. How much did we budget for that stuff to be done? Like, do we have a number of?
This is within our budget that we figured.
those
I don't
specific
have
items?
exact. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, these are within budget.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. The only thing that's not within budget was the server, and we talked about that, and
Are we needing approval for that tonight?
we don't have to. I would like that, but we don't have to. We can come back at a later date. But those are some things we will need to do anyways.
Since it's already approved, I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
All right, so will that require a roll call? Okay, so we've had, all right, well, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We have approved the motion that I didn't follow very closely.
Mr.
I'm
Mayor, what
sorry.
we're going to do is we're going to cycle with JMark and give it some time, kind of go back to the drawing board, look at cloud options, kind of re-look at our options and bring those to you and see where the market's heading.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Okay, I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of bill number 2026-11.
First reading. Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-11, ordinance number 4118, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Southwest Electric Cooperative for a tower use agreement for city communications equipment.
I got it, Brent.
Mr. Relford?
I got it. Yeah, this is an agreement with Southwest Electric to allow us to put communications equipment for law enforcement on one of their antennas. We've had this agreement in the past. It was 10 years. It expired, and we're renewing this agreement.
Questions and comments?
Second.
Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for a second reading of bill number 2026-11.
Second reading.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-11, ordinance number 4118, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Southwest Electric Cooperative for a tower use agreement for city communications equipment.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Rains.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye. Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
With a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved Bill number 2026. Oh, sorry?
We got 8 people.
Oh, 8. Excuse me. The new voice. With a vote of 8 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved Bill number 2026-11. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-12.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-12, ordinance number 4119, an ordinance authorizing a change order to the agreement with Sun Solar LLC for contractor services of the solar energy system being installed at the city's Aquatic and Recreation Center.
Mr. Relford, do you want to explain that, please, sir?
Yeah, real briefly. This is one of those I called the alderman and got verbal because we needed to make a decision to let the contractor know. For the solar array, they ran into some rock when they were putting the brackets into the ground, and it cost a little extra money.
Okay, how much extra money?
$6,200.
Questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2026-12.
Second reading?
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-12, ordinance number 4119, an ordinance authorizing a change order to the agreement with Sun Solar LLC for contractor services of the solar energy system being installed at the city's Aquatic and Recreation Center.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
By a vote of 8 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2026-12. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-13.
First reading.
Did I say first reading? Counselor, we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-13, ordinance number 4120, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Corwin Ford Lincoln Republic for purchase of a 2026 Ford Police Utility Interceptor for the city's police department.
Mr. Relford, you want to explain that briefly, please?
We want to buy a police vehicle.
Okay.
Is that a budgeted purchase?
It's a budgeted purchase, yes,
And
ma'am.
it's under it's within
It's
the budget?
actually $15,000 less. We're going with the Explorer vice the Tahoe.
Questions and comments?
Is it already equipped with?
No, sir. That's budget. That's also budgeted. Yeah, that's a separate thing we budget for, and it takes about $15,000 to outfit a vehicle.
Okay. Further comments and questions?
Yeah, I wanted to know if
Go
there was
ahead.
anything local. Did we look at here in Bolivar?
No, I think they're the only ones that do the state bids.
Okay. Further questions? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2025-13.
Second.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-13, ordinance number 4120, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Corwin Ford Lincoln Republic for purchase of a 2026 Ford Police Utility Interceptor for the city's police department.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Nay.
Ross.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 1 no, we have approved Bill number 2025-13. Chief Johns, would you care to bring us an update on Kalia, please?
Thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Very nice to see you, sir.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Being patiently waiting.
No worries. Just wanted to give you an update on where we were at with the accreditation. We've got our online virtual assessment scheduled here in just a few weeks, February 28th through March 5th. Then we'll have our on-site visit and assessment in April 13th through the 15th. And of course, I'll bring you updates after we get through these steps. After the site assessment, I'm shifting the current corporal position responsible for accreditation, who's been in that position for several years, getting us up to speed. We've had a lot of discussions on that in the past. He's done an amazing job taking us to where we are today. But we're going to shift that position out into a standard commissioned policing role from administration. So that's going to reduce the costs of this particular initiative. And then I'm also going to absorb any continued accreditation upkeep duties into our current administration. And so what I'm asking tonight, I'd like to ask to be allowed to go ahead and continue our accreditation for at least one additional calendar year. The only additional cost based on the shifts that I have made and the absorbing of the day-to-day duties of keeping it, this is only going to require an additional fee of about $4,000. And I'm not going to ask for any additional money out of the budget. I'm going to be reallocating and readjusting based on finding cost savings in other areas. And so there'll be no additional out-of-budget costs, and I'm shifting roles, and I'm asking to move forward and continue it for at least one more additional year.
Alderman Neal?
So, Chief Jones, I just want to make sure that I'm remembering the discussions in a correct way. My understanding was that the position that you had hoped to get for this year, that for budget, when we did the budget, was not a position that was added, was an administrative position to help absorb the already significant administrative responsibilities in your department. Is that right?
Correct. We have additional administrative needs, and we're working through that. And part of what I was asking was a shift of our commissioned corporal out of that position, replacing with a civilian role. In that discussion that we had earlier, we talked about the amount of accreditation duties for that particular person would not be the entire job. We would have other administrative duties for that particular role. And then by doing that, the costs that we would be effectively putting towards that continued accreditation, just that alone of moving the commissioned officer into a policing role and then having a civilian position take that over, that was going to be a savings of about $13,000 or $14,000.
Right. I guess what I was trying to ask is that my understanding of the needs of your department was you already had enough administrative work that you would have benefited from another position in your department to help with that.
I do.
But what you're proposing to do is to increase the administrative workload.
Sharing.
Beyond. I understand.
Yes.
And you are the one running the department, and I trust you to make the decision about what your department can do and how to do that best. I just am checking in because my understanding was that you already had more than enough administrative work for the staff that you had.
We do.
And so I want to make sure that when you come and you say, we will absorb this additional administrative work with our already staff that already had more than enough to do. I just wanted to double check and make sure that you feel like that is something that your department can do with the current resources you have available.
We are going to make things work with the resources that we have, and I'm going to work harder and smarter at the same time. And that's a piece of what we're trying to do here. I'm reallocating positions. I'm reallocating some workloads, finding more efficient ways to do the things that we're doing. We're finding cost savings. An example was the last thing on our schedule tonight, changing from the Tahoes to the state bid police interceptors. We saved a good amount of money just by that one minor change. I'm looking for ways to do that in many areas of the department.
I am all for efficiency. I'm just not for overworking anybody, and I know you are also not for that. So I'm trusting you to make sure you take care of your people and make sure that it can all get done with what you have, and making sure that the people are also a priority, which I know you will do.
And I think they realize the importance of this for the department, and I think they're willing to put the effort in. And I don't think he mentioned this either. The feedback from CLIA with the idea that, hey, we're going to do it for 1 year and drop it, they did not look upon that favorably.
Well, I would. I don't find that terribly surprising.
Why would they? I mean, I would think. I mean, from my understanding, you're willing to make major sacrifices because this accreditation is that important to you and your department.
I believe that it's important to the community. I believe it's important to the city. I believe it's important to our department. It reduces liability. It's going to help us with that. It's going to improve risk management. A police department in every city organization is the highest risk department of the city. Absolutely is. If we can validate those professional standards, if we can ensure that we are up to date on the most current best practices, all of these things are a benefit to the city. And if I can find ways to reallocate, again, staffing, reallocate expenditures, be super efficient in the things that we do, I think it's worthwhile. Another thing that we're working with is we're working with our insurance carrier, and we're trying to get some tangible numbers of what does that look like, as we've had other discussions in city council meetings over the last several months. Insurance rates are continuing to go up, and it's a challenging thing for the city. And we're looking for different safety initiatives. We had one of those from the last meeting that we're trying to do some health and wellness safety initiatives for our people. There is a good chance, and everything I'm seeing just through research with other departments and online, I'm seeing that there are significant insurance possibilities. Right now, as of this meeting, I was not able to get specific tangible numbers of it will decrease your rate by this much for our particular city. I think if we are allowed to continue for at least one more calendar year, and I make those adjustments maybe in a short time frame, once we are accredited and we can give all that documentation to our insurance carriers, there's a possibility, and then maybe we'll see that we have a tangible benefit as well as the other benefits that we've talked about.
Mr. Wilson.
I think we let the department head, chief, he just came to us and said, it's not going to spend any more money out of budget. I'm willing to move stuff around in my department to make it work. I'm willing to put, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he said, I'm willing to put the work in himself. I have faith that he will be able to do well with it, so I will make a motion, if nobody else has questions about it, to extend it 1 year as Chief John's requested.
Second.
Is that something we need to make a motion for if it is?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Will that
Not budgeted, but it's
since there are no additional since there are no additional expenses, does this actually require approval?
And correct me if I'm wrong, Don, we voted on not having Kalia.
Right.
So I think it'd be imperative if we say we are voting to extend it a year.
Okay, if that be the consensus, shall we have a so we have a motion
and a second.
to accept, and we have a second. All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We have extended Kalia for another year, and I am sure with the exceptional leadership that you have shown that we will show this to be a great benefit to the city.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thanks for your trust and support, and I will come back with more feedback as we move along. I'll tell you how we do with the accreditation process, and then especially if I can get some tangible numbers from our insurance carriers when we look at that, I'll bring all that to you and see if it's something that we can continue further beyond that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for your trust.
Yeah. Mr. Lee, would you like to bring us up to date on the winter storm cleanup?
I could do this.
Okay.
If you want to pull it up, Chief Watkins, real quick. This is just some information, some data for the board. We don't have big storms, winter storms come through that often, so it does take money to clear the streets, and we just wanted to show you, what a storm like this would cost, and this is the information we put forward.
Okay. It's my understanding that this would not require a vote then.
No, this is just information, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the board? All right.
I'd like to see
Go ahead,
the summary.
please.
He's just now pulling it up.
Okay, all right.
It's in the packet.
Does this affect the budget numbers at all? I mean, I realize we already planned on having people work the hours. This is just maybe working some different
No.
hours, but the budget impact is,
No.
okay, thank you.
It's minimal. I mean,
Yeah.
over time, and we've purchased salt every year. We use
Sure.
salt. It's part of our normal business.
Yep,
But it
I
does
figured.
cost money to do this.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I apologize for my own confusion. I've been looking at my calendar. Mr. Relford, kind of refresh me.
Yes, Mayor.
recollection
We
of-
have some training going on for some of the staff, that particularly the clerks, and we request that we move the March meetings around to accommodate that training.
Yeah, okay, that was, now on the 17th,
Bolivar schools are on spring break that week.
all right, now, and we are in Jefferson City, are we not?
That's in February.
Now, fine. So, I see. Beg your pardon, sir. So we will ask for an approval from the board for the changing of those meeting dates. Is there any questions or comments? All right, entertain a motion to accept the changes.
So move.
Second.
And a second. Those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will change the March meeting dates to the 17th and the 31st.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of the bill number 2026-14.
First reading.
Second.
Okay, Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-14, ordinance number 4121, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with the Empire District Electric Company doing business as Liberty for a temporary extension to the municipal electric service agreement for street lighting.
Counselor, would you care to bring us up to date on the information that we received on this matter?
Well, we have been notified that for the city administrator and I, our understanding is that recently the Public Service Commission has essentially issued an opinion to Liberty that by having our street lighting, the MESA agreement not in effect, that, and with Liberty keeping us on our municipal rate, that they are in violation of their tariffs, and so they are essentially forcing Liberty's hand to up our rates to non-municipal rates for street lighting unless we come to terms on some kind of a street lighting agreement on the municipal rate.
So, have we heard this before? Go,
Mr. Mayor,
Relford,
and
please.
just for the good of the board, we put some information in front of you, just as a reminder what that increased cost would be. And on the last time we met with them, it'd be an increase of $84,000 per their calculations.
Thomas, question on that.
Yes, go ahead.
I remember being called a bully because I asked the question of this wasn't right.
This was the second one. The first one was a little bit higher.
Okay.
So I've got, a lot to say, so I'll start. Couple questions I have, Don. You sent an email October 8th, because after our meeting with Liberty, we had 7 questions that we drafted to send to them. Did we ever get a response on any of the questions we asked?
Not before today. So just for the board's awareness, we sent the letter on October 8th, sent a follow-up letter on November 4th. I sent a follow-up letter actually earlier today.
They did respond. There is an email.
Yeah, so there is a response, partial
response.
information. Yeah.
When was that response received?
Just after
5:23.
5:24 p.m.
Today.
So no response on October or November?
Did we send anything in December or January?
No.
What was the response?
Well, the
Just emojis.
yeah.
Was it a thumbs down?
Looks like they are indicating that the city owns 209 poles with 238 fixtures, including some poles with double fixtures, with the remaining lights installed on Liberty-owned poles. In total, there are 296 fixtures on dedicated light poles and 341 fixtures on Liberty distribution poles.
Have they been working on that all this time, or was this truly in response to this morning's email?
I can't say. I mean, it could. I'm. If I had to speculate, I would say that this was in response to today's.
That would
letter.
be my guess.
So, the letter you sent. I mean, if I were to ask questions of it, that's not like. Can that be discussed and open? The letter that you sent Liberty. That we have a copy of.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. There's nothing confidential about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure before I started rattling off questions that. So, I mean, we asked 7 questions. One was the inventory, which so the city owns 209 poles and 238 fixtures. Did they tell you how many that they owned?
Yeah.
341.
341.
No, that's fixtures.
That's
the
fixtures. They
poles.
tell you how many poles that they owned.
It'd be whatever 800 and presumably maybe 811 minus 209. But
Okay.
Yeah, that would be it. I mean, we would have to
602.
infer that number.
Okay. Did they estimate the cost that it would be to set up metering for the streetlights on our poles?
No.
Okay.
They are asking for more clarification on what exactly it is we're asking for on number 2.
I'm assuming number 4, the proposed appraisal for the Liberty-owned streetlights in the city of Bolivar. Did they give us what they estimated the cost would be for the stuff that they owned?
Let's see here. For numbers 3 through 4 and 6, they're telling us that more time is needed to formulate responses.
Okay.
The 1-year extension being taken up this evening, if passed, will allow the city to remain on lower tariff weight while the remaining issues are explored.
Sure. So we asked them 7 questions, and that was in October, November, December, January. So 5 months. They've given us a partial answer to number 1. Did they provide us with a tariff rate for the metered commercial rate, which I don't think they did that.
I would say circumstances have answered number 7 a little bit. Would they be willing to hold us at a non?
Sure.
They have been sort of, but now aren't.
So
they
we
can't.
asked them 7 questions to help to help us form a decision, and they've answered 1.5 of them and said we need more time after 5 months of time. So, I mean, if we, yeah.
And I will say at the meeting, there were some questions where it was not clear whether any answer would be forthcoming.
Yeah.
So I would, even the ones that they say more time is needed, I don't know that that's intended to say we are definitely willing to provide this
well,
information,
yeah,
because they
that's-
explicitly told us we don't know that we have to provide.
That's kind of
that.
what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Is they were like, hey, we don't have to, do that. So my understanding is we're getting this information from the Public Service Commission, is the one who's ordering Liberty to charge us a different rate or have a sign in agreement for a year.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Have we talked to the PSC directly?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's what they've relayed. I mean,
they actually are offering just a year's extension.
No, this says temporary, but it reads more like another 10-year hook, plus an additional, what was it, from October to now?
I mean, it's the same thing they offered us last time, but with the dates changed to a year from today, basically.
Yeah.
But by,
Is there a reason that we would not?
yeah.
What would it be? Is there a reason that we would pay more? We would give Liberty more money than they are asking for.
So one of the reasons, I mean, I would like to discuss in one of the categories in our executive session, 'cause I think it falls under there. But this is one of my issues is, the Public Service Commission had a hearing with Liberty, and Liberty was asking for a rate increase, and the PSC pretty much told them you've had multiple issues, fix your issues before we give you a rate increase. The PSC has never not given Liberty something in the past. And so for them to say, you're bad enough that you've got to fix this before we allow you to get more money, and then turn around and say, City of Bolivar, you've got to enter into an agreement with this company or pay more money. I feel like they're making us get into a contract with a company that they themselves have said you're not good enough right now for us to approve what you're wanting. So, I mean, I would like to have a conversation with the PSC of why they think that we should be forced into an agreement with them when everybody knows the issues that Liberty's had. And we've asked questions, they've not answered. Well, I mean, 2 hours ago, an hour and 7 minutes before our meeting starts, they answer 1.5 of our questions. They're still having issues. We are still, I mean, I don't know. I know last time we talked, Natalie, are we getting consistent bills at all?
Better? Yes. But are they
Define better, because we got like 1 in 9 months. So are we getting like 2 in 9 months, or?
And please speak into a microphone so the people online can hear you. I know.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I'd say the last 4 months, the bills have been much more consistent. The last 3 months, there's been a lot less back billing, because that was what I was having so much trouble with, was the back billing. We go back nearly a year on some of the meters. Changes, we'd get a credit on a meter from several months ago. I have not been seeing that the last 3 months at all. The street lighting bill has been pretty consistent all the way through when they bill us. In the last 3 months, we have received a bill for the street lighting, and it runs about $11,000 a month for street lights.
So the last 3 months we've gotten a bill. The months before that, how often would we get bills?
Well, we get a bill every month.
Okay.
But it might not be for every meter that the city owns or city is responsible for.
And you might get one bill and then 2 weeks later another batch of bills.
Can you talk into your mic, Natalie? Sorry.
So for the last 3 months, the billing has been better on the
It has
streetlights.
been much better.
So when we weren't in agreement with them, the billing got better.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, I will say this.
Thanks.
That we have vented our frustrations with the company, and I think the frustrations were merited. But I have some understanding about the way state agencies operate. And the fact that they have had, the PSC has had issues, other billing issues, and other complaints, really is not germane to this situation. The reason that they are insisting that the contract be signed or the rate increased is because that absolutely, without question, is either a law, a rule within the PSC, or a policy within the PSC. They do not operate under any other method whatsoever. So my position on this is that the reason that they have insisted on Liberty, on our signing an agreement or paying more, is that is the rules within the PSC, and I think that it was answered by the information that our counselor had. I am no more of a fan of Liberty than anyone, even though in our discussion somehow at times it has there have been impressions that somehow I'm speaking up for them, but I think that our responsibility ultimately is to protect is to take good care of the taxpayers' money, and it seems that we are now reaching a point where the only reasonable course of action is to sign a 1-year extension, or sign the extension, and comply with and for them to comply with rules. Otherwise, we're going to be giving Liberty money, that taxpayer money that they're not even asking for, and to me, the other issues that are around this are they're legitimate, but they're not germane to the issue at hand. That's the way I see it.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I agree with Alderman Ross. I think that some questions probably need to be asked, and I know Alderman Ross said that he had some questions for council in executive session about this issue. I would like to propose we move this item to the end of executive session.
Counselor, can we table this for the moment?
We can.
All right. Is that kind of the consensus here?
I'll second that motion.
All right. For the moment, we will table bill number 2026-14 until after closed session.
Take a vote on that.
Do we need to have a vote on that, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay. A roll call vote?
I don't think it.
Okay.
It's your prerogative, Mayor.
That's fine. Those in favor of tabling bill number 2026-14, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. We have tabled bill number 2026-14. Let's go on to the Alderman comments, but I think maybe we'll save those.
Well, can I? Yeah, I've got like two real quick ones.
Okay.
That are,
All right.
A couple things for Alderman comment. Number one is like our high school, the speech and debate FBLA teams competed this past weekend, did really good. Lots of Bolivar kids are going to state on that, so kudos to them. Talked to a lot of parents. Number two. There is a young lady who lives in Ward 2 who happens to be a wrestler for Bolivar. Addie Porter's her name. She went to the Tulsa National Tournament. 3,600 kids, got second place, is ranked like second in the nation. Kind of cool to have that. I'm kind of biased. They are my neighbors, so just awesome to have somebody on that skill level here in our community. So good job to her.
Thank you. All right, I'm entertaining a motion. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Neil, did you have one too? I do have one.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I have a question for Kyle, if you don't mind. Sorry to put you on the spot. I had a couple concerned citizens. There was a... Sorry. I had a couple concerned citizens and a couple questions that they've reached out to me and also a certain company. When the water main breaks on a roadway, Liberty fixes them. The question is, who fixes up all the clay and rocks that are in the road on driveways? They called Liberty and said it's the city's responsibility, and I wasn't sure of that, so I wanted to make sure that we have the right information to give.
So, like, maybe now we're offline, I probably would need more specific information of a location, but no, if a contractor performs work, doesn't matter who hires that contractor, in this case Liberty, or some private contractor working for an individual resident, they are responsible to return the site to the original condition. The specific repair of the asphalt, we do have a process by which they first have to apply for a street cut. If there's emergency situations, and Liberty frequently has an emergency repair, they make that street cut, they do that work, and then they apply for that application, and they're charged. They can either repair the asphalt themselves to our city spec, or we will do the work. They pay a fee for that.
Sure.
But it's their responsibility. You know, if you're talking about miscellaneous like dirt or things like that. I know there was one particular one on the square that caused.
That was one of the examples, but there's another one,
that
kind of the same
caused some-
situation.
And we, you know, we're here to be good partners with
Sure.
every contractor that comes into town. That
Sure.
repair was done, you know, in the later evenings, and in the next day or two when that was dried up, we did do a
Sure.
good bit of cleaning, as we would normally for any project that,
Sure.
you know.
Just the question was asked of, you know, they're being told one thing, and we weren't sure.
No,
what,
I mean, it's pretty easy for me to say, if you caused the mess, it is
Sure.
your responsibility to correct it. Now, will we always know who causes it? And then do we have a duty to go in? Of course, yeah, we would.
Awesome. Thank you.
Further comments? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for us to go into closed session.
I'm going to move that we take a 5-minute break and then go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 1, legal actions, cause of action, or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorney.
And a second, okay, all those in favor?
Do you want to go live when you come back?
Yes.
Probably a good idea.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sagister.
Aye.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Price. Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Sawyer.
8 ayes. We are taking a 5-minute break and going into closed session.